Like, all we can really do is show up the best we can in each moment as it appears in front of us. I want to point people into an awakening of their true nature, of interconnectedness, of divine, just like light, and healing happens. And I've really been noticing that when you meet someone, they use the words to tell you what their medicine is, like if you really listen.
Welcome to Going Within, the podcast where I, David Naylor, and our guests dive deep, sharing our transformative journeys with psychedelic therapy and other awakening experiences. As the founder of Within, a psychedelic-assisted therapy clinic in Austin, Texas, I'm dedicated to helping others find profound healing and consciousness expansion using ketamine in a ceremonial approach. Join us as we explore the life-changing potential of going within and listening to inspiring stories of transformation from various life experiences and ceremonies. Thank you for honoring me with your presence and attention today, and I'm so grateful that you're here in all of your infinite wisdom. Now, let's go within. Dr. Cass Naumann is an intuitive teacher and healer whose decades of studies and innate gifts bestow upon her clients an elevated sense of well-being, awareness, and self-compassion. People who work with Cass report subtle changes to all levels of their body, mind, and spirit. She has mastered a myriad of healing modalities, including Qigong, Tai Qi, vibrational sound healing, acupuncture, cupping, energy work, breath work, body work, yoga, and meditation. In essence, Cass is a light worker devoted to the heart and spirit of this medicine, ushering the collective consciousness towards more peace, balance, and loving kindness. It is an honor to have her on the show today. Here we are. 1 year later, we met in a ceremony space, and where it was just about intention and love and connection. And that was about a year ago. You know, you kind of meet people, and you know, okay, this person is on the vibration and on the path. Yeah, so welcome to Going Within.
Thanks. I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely.
It seems like it's been so much longer than a year.
It does seem like that. Maybe it has been. Was it like a year?
Probably not.
Yeah, it was probably about a year.
Time is like that.
It's shrinking and expanding. It's kind of weird once you're in the magic realm.
Yeah.
You know, speaking of which, you know, I know you're quite the magician and wizard and creator and witch and all of the above, healer, expander. What brought you to this path? Like, what was that point where it was Cass and you were on this other path and that brought you to this new path? Tell me about that.
Yeah, it's a deep personal story. Well, on one hand, I think when you look back, once you're on the other side, you see kind of breadcrumbs, psychic breadcrumbs and experiences you had in childhood, and it was always there. You just weren't. Some people use this word awake, but for me, it's been more like this lifting of this veil, like clouds parting, and all of a sudden the fog wasn't there anymore, that had always been there. But the big significant, like, demarcation line for me was my best friend since my early 20s. He was my record producer. He had introduced me to Qigong initially and like vibrational healing through sound because he was an amazing musician. When I was in the middle of the doctoral program to get my an acupuncture and oriental medicine, and I was in the doctoral program and he got sick and it ended up being terminal cancer, and I had the honor of walking him home, but it was about an 11-month journey, and it was kind of the final days of sitting with him at MD Anderson and everything that went on. And when he passed, I witnessed things, I experienced things that were outside of my belief system at the time. And I thought at the time it was like an existential crisis, but it was really kind of cognitive dissonance, meaning like both of these things can't be real. But I wanted both of them to be real, but they weren't. And I ended up going and doing some doctoral rotations in Japan, which Akira and I were talking about earlier, and spent a lot of time there in a monastery trying to seek out the questions. Like, I thought I could find out what happened when we died. I was determined to find the answers and did the very proverbial, like going as far away on the other side of the world to find teachers and traditions that would point the way. And of course, the answer was going within, ultimately, but it took me. Sorry, I hit the mic when I said that.
Yeah, that's good.
But it took me a few years to get there. And so it was during that time of of taking care of him, of being with him as he passed, of all the things that transpired during the days and weeks and months afterward that profoundly changed me. I don't know if there was like a day or a moment, but it was like a period of time, like this bubble of time. It was definitely a before and an after. That led me down this path, and it was many, many years of, I would say maybe 5 years of meditation. I did a lot of week-long silent meditation retreats in monasteries and Zen centers. I had a daily practice of several hours of meditation. I became very, kind of an ascetic for several years. And then an opportunity to sit in ceremony with ayahuasca came.
Wait, was this all before you had children, or
No,
after?
it was after.
This was after?
After.
Wow.
Yeah.
So here you are being a mom on your journey in the monasteries, awakening, and it's a process. It's not like some people go and lightning strikes, divorce, something happens, big change within months. Yours was more of a process of awakening and becoming.
Definitely a process.
Interesting.
Though I will say, and I'm blushing before I'm saying
Yeah,
this.
good. This is a lot of blushing on
When
this show.
people ask, I have an honest answer that is just not always appropriate to share. But the whole conversation of like sudden awakening, gradual awakening, which many different spiritual traditions have, I really think is akin to female orgasm. Sorry if we have to edit this.
No, we want to talk about everything, especially that.
It's, I think it's all gradual. It may appear sudden.
Yeah.
But there was definitely
There's a build up.
gradual
There's a
thing
build up.
happening behind
Come
the
on.
scenes.
Let's talk.
Sorry for
Real
my
talk.
blushing.
Yeah, that's great.
I think that's always the case. It may be a sudden moment, a smell of a flower, a bird song, a loved one dying, a baby being born. It could be anything.
And crisis creates change, right?
Indeed.
This crisis of your mentor, friend, brother passing, and then you walking him home. That's a crisis, and that created the change that you went through. At least it was a catalyst. Is that?
For sure. It was so beautiful. I remember every day I woke up in heartache, and also I'd never felt more in my purpose in my whole life. And I value motherhood more than anything, but even that was like, this is what I was meant to do. Kind of word spread within the community, and I did death doula training in end-of-life care, and so I've got to walk several friends and brothers and sisters, and starting out strangers, I become like family.
You've had so many trainings. You're like a student of life.
I am.
So
much more.
Doctor, death doula, energy work, Qigong. I mean, have you always been just a pursuit of information and wisdom and education?
I've been a seeker. Oh yeah, well, and academia.
Yeah, in academia.
My mom taught me to read when I was really young, so I went into kindergarten reading and writing. So I ended up in second grade taking with the fourth grade math, and then they tested me, and I ended up just skipping to fourth grade and continuing on. And I have a whole wall of degrees and diplomas, and it's partially, I think, to prove myself.
Right.
And also, I just really love learning. There's so much to learn.
It's like a yes and, right? There's the shadow side to everything.
Yes.
Like there's the side of you that's a seeker and a healer and grow and want to learn. And then there's the society part of like, look what I accomplished, look what I accomplished. And that's okay too. Like I'm accepting, I like to accept the shadow these days. It's for so long I resisted it. It was like, there's a part of me sometimes that wants to fit in. There's a part of me sometimes that wants you to like me. And that's okay.
Yeah. All the parts.
Yeah, all the parts.
And sometimes they literally are parts. I've been doing
Yeah.
a lot of IFS shadow work, training with a
Yeah,
mentor
internal
I
family
work with.
systems and parts work. Oh, I love
And
Richard
that's-
Schwartz's work.
Yes, so brilliant. And shadow work being this huge part of it that I've kind of dove into the last 3 years, I would say, really deeply, weekly with my coach.
Should you get another diploma on this?
No, but I think he does offer a certification
Certification
program.
for sure. Add that to the wall.
Okay, I totally did the workshop last weekend.
100%. I believe it. Good.
But it's starting to learn how, now that I feel really understanding the way that it works and having experienced it for years myself, now trying to learn and incorporate in the work that I do with my patients and my clients, maybe friends a little bit, but I, try not to always do that and just listen. But a lot of the integration, psychedelic integration work that I do, all of those pieces come into play.
Before we get into the work you're doing now, I really want to still understand this whole process of your becoming. So walk me through, how many years ago was when your friend passed? What year was that?
2017.
2017. Wow.
Not that long ago.
See, where you're sharing it, it felt like it was so long, because you seemed like you've just been on this journey for so long, but it was just 6 years ago. Wow.
It was his passing, and then doing ayahuasca for the first time.
Amazing.
It was like it was both of these were like these warp speed wormholes. It was like there was a before,
that's what it felt like.
And it was like my whole life got picked up and dropped here, and it was another life.
Transformation.
Yeah.
A
But even
whole
when I
new
look in the
vibration.
mirror, every time it happens, I feel like I age a lot, or like same things shift. It's very strange.
Well, you are a shapeshifter.
A little bit, not on purpose.
For sure.
I think it's the multiple realms. Like, are you familiar with like integral theory and spiral dynamics? Yeah. So it's part of it is that, and there's like the concrete world. Like this.
Yeah.
Try not to touch the mic again.
Yeah.
And then there's like consciousness kind of shifts. Like even when I taught Qigong class this weekend at Kuya, there were a few people. They were like, everything feels on a tilted axis. I was like, yeah, we altered our consciousness a little bit. So I just gave them like this spiraling exercise until everyone felt like.
Well, and
straight
now
up
what
and
quantum
down.
physics is teaching us is that we're actually creating reality to show up. And it's like reality is not happening to us like we always thought. It's creating every moment we're creating, whether it's from the subconscious beliefs or consciously calling in. So 6 years ago, you go through this process. Take me all of the work you've done, the studying, the certifications, the diplomas. Here you are now. Tell us about your work. Like, what makes you come alive? What are you working with today? Who are you working with? And,
Yeah, you're a great interviewer, David.
I'm just curious.
You're a good friend.
Thank you.
Thank you for seeing me.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. Where I'm at now is largely similar to the place where we met a year ago. Mostly curious, like more curious than ever. Like the more answers you find, like 10 times more questions you have. A lot of my work, so I wrote my doctoral treatise. It's called Qigong and the Effects of Vibrational Healing. And it was sort of like seeing into the future what my life was going to be about. And not really knowing yet, but really going deep, exploring. There's chapters on medical Qigong and Reiki and spirit and sound and Nada Brahma, the sound of no sound, and Taoism and inner alchemy. And I think really it's a synthesis of all these things that are just different tools. So like I'm a licensed acupuncturist. I think that's the thing that I do that most people know what it is. And so a lot of people think of me as an acupuncturist, but it's just one tool, and it's just one part of 4 or 6 or 8, depending on your school of thought, pieces of Chinese medicine. But whether it's acupuncture, or it's Chinese herbs, or it's bodywork and cupping, or if it's energy work like medical Qigong or Reiki, or if we're in conversation about dreams or internal family systems or integral theory and doing coaching or spiritual direction or meditation or yoga or breathwork or tea and incense. I have a really long list of tools, but it's because I love all of them. But they're all just tools to pull from whatever someone resonates with, right? Resonance being like vibration. I love your face, thank you.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of, but they're just tools. They're not, the magic is not in the tool. It could be any tool. It's in, this is just my personal take on it at this time, subject to change in the ancient future. Like we are the medicine. Like the aspiration is that I come to embody, like from a sincere heart, like goodness and honesty and compassion and humility. I literally, with every breath that I take and every choice that I make, and that literally has a vibration. And then in my Taoist practice, we work with light. So we're like consuming the sun and the moon and the stars, particularly the Big Dipper, and meditating, filling the body up with this light, literally light. And then one of the medicine practices is you write talismans. So it's literally like through your body, through your intention, through your spiritual practice, writing talismans in water that you would drink, or a paper that you would burn, put the ashes in and drink, or light over someone's body, or to clear a space. I've really gone full in dedicating my life to that practice as a Taoist priest. No, we didn't get to that, and it's not necessarily important because it's not that title. I don't really want it as a title. It's actually a commitment to take care of community is why I've taken that on. So it really should be mostly about humility and service. So whatever way that shows up is how I want to show up. And so people are familiar with tools. And it's not to say acupuncture needles don't do anything. They do. They're not just for show. But in a way, it's just, yeah, it's just one that people know about, are more familiar, comfortable with. But it's really taking all these life experiences, these observations, this wisdom, and just holding it energetically for someone to feel safe and seen and heard, and healing happens. And I've really been noticing that when you meet someone, they use the words to tell you what their medicine is. Like if you really listen, you don't have, they already know. Like they are their own medicine, their own healer, their own teacher, their own wisdom. It's always, not to be cheeky about it, it was like always within. It's true.
Always within.
Yeah, it was always
Healer,
been there.
Heal thyself.
Yes, already healed. And I like that you're using the word becoming, because I really like the idea of being and becoming. So it's like I have this aspiration that I just said to you that is like nearly impossible to embody because we're all human. Obviously, not every breath I take is some pure, holy breath and word and action. You know,
we get to be in our shadow or 3D animal self sometimes too.
Yeah,
Get to have it all.
Perhaps. So being and a becoming and being honest about the shadow.
Yeah.
And the humanity. And I said a lot of words there.
No, well, this is where, so you're familiar with the old medical model, right? Our medical director talks about how the old medical model is we go to doctors, they prescribe us, they give us things. We're giving all the power to the doctor. And we see a society that right now is hurting, sick, obese, addicted, you know, all of it, pharmaceutical meds. What he says, and I want to see if you agree to this, is that what this new paradigm of mental health, this new paradigm of healthcare, is to really empower each person that they are the healer inside themselves, and that we're just holding space. And we're now holding space for them to come off the medications as needed and come off. It's a whole new paradigm. And there are now psychiatrists, there are doctors that have been involved in the plant medicine world and that are going down this, I call it the shamanic path, right? I think we're all, in a way, our own inner shaman. I know nobody wants to call themselves a shaman, and I can respect that. But I look at you and I see a shaman. I see someone on the shamanic path that I have great reverence and respect for. But would you agree with that's the new mental health paradigm and this healthcare paradigm, that we're empowering people that they're their own healer, and then are we just holding space for them to awaken and heal?
I love that. I hope that's the new paradigm. It sounds very lovely. In the ancient Chinese medicine, you paid your doctor, your shaman, your healer. I mean, Chinese medicine origins was shamanism also, so it's not entirely off or wrong to say this. You paid your doctor to keep you well, so they are incentivized to keep you well. If you were sick, you kept going to them, but they weren't paid. They didn't make money. So it's exactly upside down from the way it is now. So the focus on prevention and wholeness and wellness, I don't know how we could shift into a model like that, but that would be beautiful and wonderful. And then, yes, we're not externalizing our power or our healing to a doctor or a pastor or a priest or a rabbi or a pill, which I know is easy. I want the easy button sometimes
easy
too.
Button. Just tell me what to do, doc. Tell me what to take. Tell me what. Yeah.
But the truth is, spend time in nature. Drink enough clean water. Eat whatever for you are healthy foods.
Awaken to your own ancient lineage, and right, ultimately awaken to then become. You are actually a healer, right? I'm learning. Whoa, I'm a healer. Whoa, that's a big awakening to realize I'm a channel. I'm energy field. I'm a healer. I have gifts and tools to help others. Like, this has been a big awakening process for me.
And we all have different tools.
Correct.
We can help each other in a different version of a barter system.
Well, And I came from a world of religion for a long time that was ingrained in me. And even in religion, it says, some of you can speak in tongues. Some of you can see the future. Some of you can channel great inspiration into others. Like it even says that in religion.
Different spiritual gifts.
Correct.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
So fascinating. It's the truth.
And if you look at the first real doctors, those were the shamans. Those were the ones. You know, ultimately, you know, goes back to Lion King. So why do you think all of a sudden we have a wave of consciousness happening right now where more and more people are using plant medicine to awaken, more and more people are coming into this? Is it the age of Aquarius? What is the age of Aquarius? What would you say is happening right now in our country?
Wow, this is a big question that I'm not qualified to answer.
I'm calling BS on that one. I think you are qualified to answer.
I don't know the answer.
You know what? You maybe don't know the.
I don't know the answer. I've heard lots of different answers.
What's your answer?
I think the availability and accessibility to these plants is like it's never been before because of technology, because of transportation, because of openness and curiosity. There's a fine balance between a lot of these medicines becoming world medicines, but we really need to be careful of honoring the indigenous cultures with which each one of these came from and their ways of doing it with that wisdom. I get nervous about how prolific. I mean, it's like wonderful that there's access to all these different medicines, but they're sometimes like party drugs, and people don't understand the reverence between sacrament, a medicine, a drug, set and setting, intention, preparation both of the medicine, of the space, of the body and the mind, and like Dayeta before, and a lot of the work that I do with people is more the after and the integration. I think it's wonderful. Plants will save the world. Mushrooms will save the world, right? Paul Stamets has this whole talk and documentary about it. It's potentially true. The mycelial kingdom is so interesting because everything's interconnected. Just like like the aspen tree, same thing. Like this one huge organism, such a beautiful metaphor for who we are, to light things up in the interconnectedness of everything. I feel unqualified and want to like be respectful and reverent in ways that I don't know I could articulate right now of how important it is to honor the traditions and the elders from which all these medicines came from.
What I hear you saying is two things, actually. I hear you saying that accessibility, technology, information that is more traveling at a quicker speed. We're now seeing Hollywood make films and documentaries, so it's like there's this accessibility to plant medicine which can awaken consciousness, and especially mushrooms, mycelium network, the intelligence of ayahuasca. Things are happening now faster than ever, so now we're awakening. I'm hearing that, but I'm also hearing, hey, listen, let's not Americanize and do what we've always done, where we take these things and somehow turn it around consumerism, right? How can we maintain the reverence of these sacraments and these lineages? How can we do that?
Yeah, the Western mind really wants to become a reductionist.
Yeah.
It's like we're gonna, like white willow bark, we're gonna, you know what I mean, and create aspirin.
Yeah, right.
Or
package it.
Yes.
Put a bow on it.
Money.
Sell it.
But
mass produce it.
Yeah, but the medicine doesn't work that way. It's
No,
so
it
complicated.
doesn't.
Same with Chinese herbal medicine. It's people want and ask me about this all the time. Even acupuncture points, like, can you like make conditions that work with this herb? And it's basically, and then can we extract it and make it a pill and sell it?
And you already see people trying to patent it. You already see companies trying to patent these things to make money off of it. So I'm going to ask you, someone who has a deep reverence, I know personally, knowing you have a deep reverence for the truth and the tradition and the process and the lineages. How do we protect it?
Continual conversations like this. Keep asking everyone this. I don't know, but we need to. We have to. I'm not for excessive regulation and oversight, but I am for safety. And reverence, grassroots efforts, small communities, continuing these conversations, more books, more documentaries, more studies that are published.
It's
really
a good question,
question.
right? It's an important question, and I love the
Do you have an
fact.
answer?
Well, I love the fact that you're being so intentional about it, because this is something that is going to put a lot of thought into. One question that comes through is that there's all these tribes forming, because as someone awakens, right? I know I've gone through the biggest awakening process over the last 4 years, similar to yours. Within our family, we're journeying together, we're in ceremony together. Atma Church is in community together. They're awakening through there. You have your tribe, Kuya's tribe, Aubrey Marcus's tribe. There are people that are awakening and healing, and I think it's really connecting those tribes and communicating and coming in with support and making sure that and it's checks and balances, right? Because back then there were chiefs of, and making sure that it was protected. I just think that maybe more communication, more conversations like this, more people coming together, like Deanne Adamson from Being True to You up in Colorado has a beautiful tribe, and she now gets people together twice a year in the wilderness and invites people from all over to have these conversations. I think she's, just kind of connecting with that frequency. And then all of a sudden it'll stick out. Someone will stick out like a sore thumb if they're in the mass production, if they're in the profit driven, you know what I'm saying? And then what do we do with the Ubuntu tribe? We don't excommunicate that person because they are us. We bring them in and invite them in and hey, let's call them in and bring them into this. So yeah, I think we still need to answer this question more thoroughly, but I like where you said about communicating and connecting and having conversations and bringing people together. Educating people.
Yeah, not losing sight of the purpose and the reason and the magic and the medicine, the intention, and its origin. Why are we all in it together? I mean, is it for the purpose of awakening?
And I believe, let's just say there is. I mean, I've been in the vibration. I mean, growing up through a capitalistic family dynamic, right? I grew up in that vibration where there was a time where it was about success and money and that. But sitting with ayahuasca enough times, or you sit with iboga, or you sit with some of these medicines, it can autocorrect that pretty quickly. So, I mean, I think of one person I know who just won't sit with ayahuasca or won't sit with some of those medicines, and they're kind of in that vibration of the money-driven. But I do believe if someone sits, that medicine can show us things that, and have a big, they can be tools of activation of consciousness for us. Do you agree with that?
I do. And then what are your values? This comes up for me a lot with ayahuasca and just watching, dozens and dozens of patients and clients on the flip side of it. Values shift, what's important shifts.
Correct.
What people really care about on their deathbed, right? And not to say that there's anything wrong with money and abundance, cleanly earned at all. It's just another form of energy, but, right?
Channeled with reverence and integrity and honor and helping
giving
the
back
cause.
and sure. Yeah. But what really matters pretty much across the board is always connection, relationships.
Yeah. I love what you said about values, right? That's what Deanne Adamson talks about a lot, is when she has these gatherings, they're really talking about what do we value? Do we value the land? Do we value the animals? Do we value each other? Do we value our lineages, our ancestors? Like, let's those conversations, right?
Yeah, value is really important. And what legacy are we building? Are we leaving for our children? Legacy in terms of, leaving the planet a better place. Like thinking about our grandchildren, our great grandchildren. What is their life going to be like?
It's really exciting times, because for the last several hundred years, all those values have kind of been stripped away. There's all kind of theories, whether it's dark forces, Illuminati, the whole. But for whatever reason, it's us. We're one big collective consciousness. And so a lot of the values got stripped away, and now I see values coming back, and kind of just now starting, right? Because we got so opposite of the way we used to do things, and everything became about consumerism. And it's interesting to see that. Yeah.
And another reason I really love integral theory spiral dynamics right now is it shows that pendulum swing as you grow from like an individual to like self and other, to a collective, to an integrative, and then you repeat this levels, like individual, and the relational, and then integrative. It's really, it's a natural kind of swing as you grow. And then it also has this idea of like growing up, emotionally developing, like growing up, and then waking up, spiritually waking up, and then cleaning up, which is shadow work, and then showing up, which to me is the value part. Like, how are we then, now that each part has grown up, how
growing
are we
up
going to
these
show
parts.
up in the world? Yeah,
Yes.
and they don't usually happen
at the same time. No.
Yeah.
No, in fact, there's a little like 18-year-old and me still that I'm still working with that likes to just snap sometimes, or like, and I'm like, whoa, what do you need? Like, I'm still working with that part.
Yeah. I don't like to be told what to do.
No.
That's mine. That's why I work for myself.
Yeah.
And like, I work in integrative psychiatry part-time. I'm like now going to be faculty at IOMA part-time. Like, I have my personal practice part-time. I'm going to travel and teach retreats part-time, but I get to change it up, because for me, like even in my human design and my gene keys, it's all about freedom. 100%. Freedom of time for me to show up when I want, how I want. I wish I would have learned that at a younger age.
Joseph Campbell says, follow your bliss. We get to choose, right? I get to choose and create what my life looks like today, right? Because I made it a priority. I made it a priority to heal my life, to expand my life, so I would have that freedom, right? To choose what I get to do with my time. Question for you. How has ayahuasca in doing your work helped you become a better mom and a better partner, lover, partner?
The mom thing is the most extraordinary to me in the world. Like, by far, the most important job that we ever get in the world is to be a parent. Most of my journeys are, about motherhood. I had one where the medicine offered, I was asking, like, teach me about time. You know, you set an intention, and so I was like, teach me about time. That's what I wanted about tonight. And it offered me this opportunity to choose a few moments in time that I could just freeze, or I could relive them and just freeze the moment in time and just like live it for the night, right? Wow. So all these different things flash across my mind, and I settled on one, and it was breastfeeding my son. And I'm sure there was like oxytocin kind of flooding, which makes sense, but I spent the whole ceremony, at least that part of it, just in this like blissful memory of that, like connection, and how much I love being a mom. It comes up a lot. Yeah. And I think about and pray for my future grandchildren. I hope I have grandchildren.
Yeah. Calling that in. Yeah.
For sure. Not soon. Maybe like 15 or 20 years from now. Yeah. But and the other theme that seems very consistent for me personally is presence. Like, it always comes, whatever the question, always about presence. It's probably something you and I have talked about before. It always comes back to, like, all we can really do is show up the best we can in each moment as it appears in front of us. But over time, all those little moments, like, become our future karma. So no matter what the story was, what the past, what the mistakes, whatever it was, you know, like, there's consequences for the actions. Sure. There's atonement for mistakes, of course. Do all of those things. That's a lot of the shadow work. So important. But in cause and effect, if we can also create the causes for a more beautiful, loving, present, compassionate future.
I love what you said. I was on a journey in Colorado just a few months ago, and I was going to go from Colorado to California, and I had an extra day. And in my journey was time with my daughter. It was like I changed my whole thing from being in this journey to being with my daughter, because whatever it brought me into in that time of presence in there, it brought me the love, the connection, the presence. I immediately called my daughter after, and I said, hey, I'm gonna come home and see you. Really? I thought you were going to California. Like, you know, she's 6, I have 2, but you know, the other one quite can't talk yet. But I came home, flew home, changed my flight just to be with her and play. And then it cost me whatever it cost me, but plant medicine can bring you into that kind of reminder of what's really matters. Wow. Okay. And how has it made you a better lover and partner? Because I got some answers for this too, but let's see where we go. Let's see where this goes.
Well, I'm not currently in partnership or lovership.
In the last 6 years?
Oh yeah, in the last 6 years. Oh yeah. well, I had a partner for 5 years that was a Zen
Okay.
monk, so that didn't mean celibate.
Uh-huh.
And that was, it was probably the most significant like teaching relationship in my life, because our life was so much about spiritual connection. It was really because of him that I got introduced to ayahuasca, ironically enough. And I got to be with his father passed. I got to be present for his passing, which was extraordinarily beautiful. It was just like all the flowers that we had were just like putting on his body. Like we were surrounding the bed when he took his last breath, and no one said anything. It was like 4 a.m. We just knew. My dog was there, and like he loved my dog. It like hopped in the bed, and there were several, I mean, just like really significant kind of portals we passed through together. But we met when my best friend was dying, and we ended our relationship shortly after his dad passed. So it was like bookended by this death portal. It was really intense, but it was with him that I went to a lot of the silent retreats. It was a Rinzai Zen. There's 4, I think, monasteries in the States. And just happened to be the one that, when I was in Japan, that I was sitting in every day was also the Rinzai temple in Kyoto. So destiny kind of weaved that path. But yeah, he would frequently say like I was the most present person he'd ever met.
I feel like I'm sitting with a master right now. Truly.
There's no
I
such
feel
thing as masters.
I have not I honor you so much. Like you're
It's just a reflection.
Thank you, but really thank you for just being the space for people through all their healing and transition, dying, birthing.
But it's also, when I left the death portal, it was people started calling me to be there when they had babies. And I was in the birth. I was in the birth portal. I didn't ask for that. It's a lot harder actually than the death portal. But what I love about it, both, it's the same portal, right? I think. So my Zen teacher would, when I would say, I think my son asked him one time during like question and answer on a meditation retreat, like, what happens when we die? And you know, these teachers always answer questions with questions, and he was like, what happened before we were born? Which is a brilliant answer, and I don't know the answer to it, but I think it's that same energetic. And so what I love about being in either one of those portals is it feels so close to source, to the divine, whatever word we want to choose. I'm okay with all of them, to God, to the great mystery. And everyone's just very raw and very real about what really matters, which again is just connection and love. Everyone wants to be seen.
Which comes back to presence.
Yes.
It's interesting, and I don't tell too many people, I haven't told too many people this, but what brought me on this path 4 years ago was I started having dreams about death, and like it was like knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Like there was a knock, and I didn't want to answer it. I'm like, no, I'll think about that later. I'm too busy living my life. And I was 39, so I just happen to believe that like that really is what had me really start this path of really deeper healing, deeper seeing, deeper awakening, deeper reverence. And what's funny is it's brought me into looking younger, to feeling younger, to losing 25 pounds, to loving my life, to doing what I absolutely love, to a vibration I never thought I'd live, to ancient remembrance I never thought I'd even have access to. So it's just interesting that death is what brought me into this path. So
yeah, it's what they say, die before you die. And here
and then actually sitting with medicines like Bufo and other medicines to actually experience my own death, which is very scary. But some of the journeys I've been on has shown me actually death and birth are an illusion. And we're actually always here for existence of presence. It would just be pretty bored if we were just a star with consciousness. So it's like, oh, why not learn the technology to come in and experience what it's like to be David Naylor? But I'm not David Naylor. That's just the experience of David Naylor in this, right now, in this moment, and yes, and. So it's just been an amazing.
So let me offer you hypotheses.
Let's go.
Another medicine
Please.
insight. So
I'll receive anything you want to give.
What if there is no death because there is no birth, and it's all happening because it's all happening right now? It's like all, if you want to say timelines, dimensions,
correct.
All of it's right now because we know it's far more than 3D. That's provable. 4D, 5D.
This is my cosmology.
Expands, contracts.
Yep.
It's all happening right now simultaneously. No need for a savior, no need for past lives. Maybe there's simultaneous lives. Maybe we reincarnate into the future, not the past, because that whole thing is an illusion.
That's right.
All of it.
All of it.
And this is why Alan Watts was like, this is it.
Yeah.
That's what the book actually is saying, I think.
I think this is why I keep going to journeys and ceremonies, because I just get glimpses into this type of wisdom, remembrance, and it's a reminder of like, oh, this is magic. I'm living in magic. And now I'm starting to learn how to create magic, which is it's a new thing. Still not there yet, but
it's alchemy, right? It's taking one thing, turning it into something different.
Yeah. When two or more come together, we can move mountains. What did Jesus say? There are many rooms inside the mansion. What does that mean? Kingdom of heaven is within. Mm-hmm. I don't know.
Christ consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't claim to know the answer to any of that.
I don't either.
I'm certainly fascinated and curious about.
I love the mystery. Mm-hmm. What's one thing you can share with anyone watching, where they can find you and where they can come see you and hang with you and be around your medicine?
I just rebranded a new website, drcass.com, spelled out DOCTOR.
Okay.
CASS. Because the other site is not me.
It's a great URL though.
Thank
Dr. Cass. How did you get that?
drcass.com. I don't know. It appeared. It was previously a Japanese porn site.
But how did you?
And then it went up for sale, and I bought it. You can delete that.
No, that's
Dr. Cass, because that's what everyone kept calling me. Because my last name, my birth name, Naumann, both acceptable. No one could ever say, as you've all experienced. And I've never, it just never really resonated. And it means no name, which I think is amazing. But saying Cat, Dr. Cass made it a little less formal, you know, and personable. So everyone was calling me that. So I was like, might as well just go with it.
Dr. Cass. I don't know.
So drcass.com.
That's a terrific URL.
I'm glad you like it.
Oh, well, yeah.
It took me a long time because in the realm of non-duality and being incredibly introverted, like INFP, and I'm like a 9 that identifies as a 2, and that's just why we find each other. I love being in groups of people. I love it. But then I need like 2 days of silence, which technically makes me an introvert.
I just can go to sleep. I get my silence during sleep time, and I just need to be around people all the time.
So that's the extrovert introvert thing. Yeah. So it was hard for me to just go ahead and go with Dr. Cass, because also like in Vedic astrology, I'm a Leo rising, so it's very much like look at me with my lioness hair, and like don't look at me. And when someone said that, I was like, oh my God, I've never been so called out before. It's so true.
We see you.
And sometimes I want to be seen, and sometimes I don't. Like I walked in here this morning, like very like no energy, like rising to like show up. But luckily, I know you, and we can just banter and talk, and it's
and I love that. Know thyself in all things. Like, what is know thyself? I've done all these personality tests, readings, charts, to know myself, to know that, and then I resonate. I keep what resonates. But I get to put together the story of me, right? Yeah. And it's fascinating.
And it's just how the divine is manifesting as David or as Cass. But ultimately, it isn't who we are. So that's kind of what I was pointing at. It's interesting that I want to point people into an awakening of their true nature, of interconnectedness, of divine, just like light. But then I'm also like naming my practice after myself. You know what I mean? It's like ego,
and that's a process.
Self, no self.
That's a process.
But you have to have a self, a becoming embodied self to like take the journey to no self. Right? So it's just so fascinating, and I'm still in the midst of the whole becoming myself. To answer your question, in case you need to cut all of that, drcass.com. Okay. I teach a Qigong class on Thursdays at Dharma Yoga. I'm teaching at Kuya once a month.
Once a month at Kuya.
Like a Saturday 2-hour master class. Yeah. I just took on a position as doctoral faculty at AOMA, the local integrative medicine school. Perfect. So I'm teaching medical Qigong and Taoist medicine, and then running clinical supervising the master students for a medical Qigong clinic there. I lead a Qigong retreat to Iceland every September. So this September, 2 to 9, there's a few spaces I can make available. So extraordinary.
And can people like just go to your website
yes,
and
all of
contact
it's
you
on
through
the
that?
website.
Everything's on the website.
Everything's on the
Dr.
website.
Cass, you can't miss that.
Yeah.
And do you want to go to
Thanks.
Iceland? I do.
Come to Iceland.
Reach out to me. Let's go to Iceland.
Come to Iceland. Yeah.
Wow.
And then
Like, who are you?
I'm Dr. Cass.
That's it.
Just Cass.
That's right.
Just this, whatever this person is.
I'm just so amazed that everything you are in your existence and the space you hold for people and like the way you live, I really see you and I honor you for that.
Thank you.
It's really an honor to have you here. It's such a privilege to be with you again and see you again. And I hope that I'm calling in the version of reality where we get to spend more time together in community and maybe even
so.
playing together, creating together.
Oh yeah. So shall it be.
Yeah, you're extraordinary.
As are you, my friend. This is why we're sitting here.
Thank you. I'm calling in extraordinary, the League of Extraordinary People.
Yes.
Yes. Well, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for
I
having
hope
me.
you come back.
Please. Anytime for you.
Thank you. Wow.
Thank you for joining us today on the Going Within podcast. The Going Within podcast is sponsored by Within Center. Within is a ceremonial psychedelic-assisted wellness center in the heart of Austin, Texas. Discover more about our transformative practices at within.center. If you enjoyed this episode, we kindly invite you to follow us and share your thoughts with a review. Going Within is hosted by David Naylor, production led by Patrick Stanger, and filming and production by Rare Media. Please note the statements made on Going Within have not undergone evaluation by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration and are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. At Within, we strongly recommend consulting your healthcare provider for personalized guidance on the diagnosis and treatment of any disease or condition.